Kwa. One of the staff whose appointment has been terminated tells Joy News at least 65 employees have been fired since January. One of the aggrieved workers, Emmanuel McMensa, who was a security officer at the casino, believes that his employment was unfairly terminated.
Live to 31st January 2017, this manager was succeeded by sacking over 60 staffs without committing any crime, no violation of the policy that we signed contract with. And I am one of the victims who suffered this recently, on the 8th March 2017. As the policy said that when you are not coming to work or you'll be late for work, you should be able to call the management to inform them that, oh, I'll be coming to work, I'll be late, or I will not be able to come. So exactly so I did. And when I reported the following day, Monday, which is 27th March 2017, she handed over to me a letter of interdiction and then a querying letter, which she asked me to come back on 7th March 2017 for hearing. So I went back, and after finishing, the following day she called me to come. When I went there, she handed over to me my termination of appointment letter. So I believe that this attitude of the management was fair, and our termination of appointment was unlawful. So I believe strongly that if this manager should be kept at the post to be working continuously at a certain level, all the staffs or Ghanaian staffs will be sacked from the workplace. So this opportunity, I'm disappointed to report to the Minister of Employment and Social Relations, and the Greater Accra Regional Minister, and all the institutions that are responsible for labor issues to come in and put this matter to rest. The law of this nation must speak, and they must force them to comply. Whatever way they must do it. They must do it. Make sure that the management of Millionaire Casino Accra, Golden Tulip, they must comply this rule.
We have contacted the management of the Millionaires Casino, who have declined to comment on the issue as a legal case is pending with the National Labour Commission. So we've gone to the National Labour Commission to get some answers. Joining me live is Executive Secretary of the Commission, Charles Adongo Bawadria. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on the Pulse.
Thank you.
Now, we understand that workers of the Millionaire Casino have petitioned the NLC over unfair treatment, what they call unfair treatment, and termination of appointment. How is this issue being addressed at your end?
Yes, I can confirm that there are a series of complaints which are pending before the National Labour Commission. The first one was brought sometime in February, that was about the 7th of February, by 5 workers complaining about what they said was the unlawful and wrongful redundancy exercise that was carried out by the Millionaires Casino. To this effect, and as the procedures require, the Commission forwarded that complaint to the respondent, in this case Millionaires Casino, for their response in the matter. Now, they have since responded through their lawyers to say that it is not correct, that the terminations by way of redundancy were unlawful, and that all steps required by law were followed at the Labour Department before the redundancy exercises were completed.
Okay.
Now, the Commission's procedures now requires the parties to be brought together for a hearing and determination to be made. Okay. Now, yesterday, we also received two other complaints from one Nora and then Emmanuel McMensa that you have mentioned, also complaining about the unfair terminations of his employment. As required by the procedure, those 2 complaints will also be forwarded to Millionaires Casino for their response. Then the parties will be invited for a hearing and a determination by the Commission.
Okay, so did I give you any details? Because it's supposed to, at this point, it is the word of management against that of the workers who are complaining. So when they say unlawful termination and the management say it was lawful, what constitutes unlawful termination? And did the management give you any details to confirm that indeed the terminations were lawful?
Well, normally the details of the claims of the parties is normally done during the hearing. At this point, the parties are making claims. They will have to appear before the commission, adduce the evidence, the basis upon which they have concluded that a termination is wrongful, unfair, or unlawful, or otherwise. But at this point, we can only rely on the documentation that they have submitted. Both parties are saying either way, that one is saying it's unlawful, other is saying it's lawful. So the commission will have to take evidence, gather all the information available, and make a determination in accordance with the provisions of the law and the practice of industrial relations in this country.
I see. So when are they supposed to appear before you for this conversation to progress?
In the case of the earlier commission complaint, the earlier complaint that was brought before the commission on the 7th, we have set a date for hearing on the 29th of March.
Okay.
But those complaints which came yesterday before the commission, they will have to go through the procedure of being forwarded to the respondent, who have 14 days to respond to before we can invite the parties for a hearing. That's how the proceedings are going to go.
Okay, so these are 5 other workers you say reported to you, and then Mr. Mark Mensah as well. But we understand that at least 65 workers have also been sacked since January. Is the commission aware of this?
Well, the commission can only deal with matters which has come before it. And the only way a matter can come before the commission is when a party has complained in writing to the commission about an alleged breach of the labor laws of this country. So far, these are those that we have received. If more are coming, I do not know, but we cannot speculate. We can only deal with what has come before the commission.
Okay. So just so I'm clear about this, what constitutes unlawful termination from the commission's point of view?
Under the Labor Act, the Act refers to unfair termination. And with unfair termination, you're talking about you having to prove that your termination was not based on a fair procedure provided for under the Act, or that you were not given a fair hearing, or that your conditions of service or collective agreement, if any, which has provided procedures and details for which you can be terminated, were not followed. So if these matters arise or are proved, the commission will be able to say that your termination was either fair or unfair.
And in that case, what are usually the sanctions if indeed they have been unfairly treated? What are usually the sanctions that management will face?
The law provides that where the commission, after hearing the matter, finds that there has been an unfair termination of employment, the commission can, one, order a reinstatement of the worker to the position that's occupied with all benefits, or order that compensation be paid to the worker in the absence of ordering reinstatement. So these normally are the reliefs which are available to a person claiming that his or her employment has been unfairly terminated.
So we know also that there are issues with, just so we veer a little off from the Golden Tulip, that there are issues with the Mawako case, which of course the minister went to talk about. What's the update on that case?
Let me say that the National Labour Commission have no records on the Mawako case because it has not been reported to the commission by any party.
Okay, but then the minister was there. Does it not fall within the ambit? Is it not the same department or ministry we're talking about here?
The National Labour Commission is a quasi judicial body. It is an adjudicatory body which mandate is to settle or adjudicate, decide on industrial disputes or labor issues which has come before the commission. So our mandate is very specific to decide disputes. And in as much as a dispute has not been filed before the commission cannot be determining a dispute that it has not received.
Okay, so at this point, we could say that on the 29th of March, we could return to the commission and ask for an update on what happened with the complaints that you received so far from workers at the Golden Tulip.
Yes, on the 29th of March, the commission will hear the complaint that we received regarding the 5 complainants who have alleged that Millionaires casinos have engaged in an unfair labor practice by terminating their employment, by wrongfully employing redundancy provisions, and that they were purporting to join a trade union, the Industrial Commercial Workers Union, on the basis of which Millionaires casinos decided to terminate their employment, which, of course, the respondent, Millionaires Casino, have denied. So the commission will be hearing the parties, the evidence upon which both allegations have been made, and will make a determination as to whether or not the casino was engaged in an unlawful or unfair labor practice.
Before I finally let you go, sir, let me just quickly look at this letter that I've got in front of me here. That is the letter of termination sent to Emmanuel Mac-Mensah. And it says that the management of Millionaires Casino Accra will hereby like to inform you that contract as a security officer has been terminated effective today, 8th March 2017, which presupposes that he was given the letter that day. After lengthy discussions, the management has found your responses and explanations at your hearing to be unsatisfactory. It is with regret that this decision has been reached. Kind regards, Kerry Lee Cinnamon, the general manager. Is this good enough? Is this okay? Does this presuppose that there has actually been a hearing upon which Mr. Mac-Mensah has been sacked from his post?
Well, Mr. Mac-Mensah, in his complaint before the commission, has referred to this letter as well. And so it is a matter which is sub judice. It would be most unfair to the respondent to start commenting on the correctness or otherwise of what has been alleged. And especially since we have not yet forwarded his complaint to the Millionaires Casinos to respond to. It will be prejudicial to make statements in the manner that you are requesting. I would decline the invitation to make such comments. We will refer the complaint to the Millionaires Casino, who will react to it appropriately, and both parties will be invited, who will now speak to their various claims, and the commission will make a determination based on the evidence and the law.
Very well said. Thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. I've been speaking with Charles Adono Bawadjia, who is Executive Secretary at the National Labour Commission, and he's been discussing or telling me about the issue, the rift between workers. So some workers at the Golden Tulip Hotel here in Accra and some management members, of course, they say that on the 7th of February, they received some complaints, and that will be heard on the 29th of March. But then what they received just yesterday will also be determined after 14 days has been given to the management of the Millionaires Casino Accra to respond. You're still watching The Pulse here with me, Gifty and Dopia. We'll take a very quick break. When we return, we'll continue with our discussion on suicide. We believe that it is necessary to talk about the preventive measures so that people do not fall victim to that. Please stay with us.